Thank you, Mr. President. And you know, Nelson Mandela once said, there can be no keener revelation of a society's soul than the way it treats its children. Every child deserves a fair chance. If we fail at taking care of our children, we fail at everything else. So the stakes are high as we work to reform the No Child Left Behind Act. Too many children are left behind. The Every Child Achieves Act is a step forward. And I want to thank Senators Alexander and Senator Murray for working so hard on this bill. It's bipartisan, and it's an opportunity for real progress in educating our children. My dad used to say, get it done, but get it done right. When we say every child succeeds, we have to mean it. Every child, including those in the poorest and most vulnerable communities. That is what we must do. That is the bill we must pass. I'm cautiously optimistic, but I would remind my colleagues we can't keep playing catch-up. I have met with child well-being experts in New Mexico and across the nation. They are very clear. Early intervention is key. For too many children, there are too many hurdles and too little hope. Our commitment has to begin early and has to stay the course. In New Mexico, almost 1 in 3 children live in poverty. 1 in 5 go to bed hungry. We are ranked next to last in education, last in overall child well-being. That is absolutely unacceptable. The future of my state for our children and for our economy depends on changing it. Earlier this year, I introduced the Saving Our Next Generation Act for full funding for programs that work on a daily basis, work in our communities, for critical prenatal care, for Healthy Start and Head Start. Too little, too late doesn't work. The result is wasted opportunity and continued failure. Children need to arrive at school ready to learn and able to realize their full potential. That's why I also emphatically support Senator Casey's Strong Start Amendment for pre-K education for every child. Early learning is critical. Senator Casey's amendment would expand and improve those opportunities for children from birth to age 5. We need to ensure all students get the same opportunities. I've introduced an amendment that provides support for Native American schools. The Bureau of Indian Education functions as a state education agency and has 50,000 students in it, but it is not funded as one. It often loses out on grants and other federal funding. We have to change that. Mr. President, both sides have worked to improve this bill. I'm pleased it has several measures I've long fought for. For example, healthy children are an investment in our future. Their health education should be a priority, not an afterthought. The bill includes my amendment to make health a core subject. In addition, we know that too many students, especially in minority communities, are not graduating. In my state, 1/5 of high school students drop out every year. Many who drop out are teen parents. My amendment provides critical support to these students. We need to do all we can to help them stay in school and to raise healthy children while they do so. The Every Child Achieves Act strengthens STEM education, financial literacy, rural school districts, and 21st century community learning centers. It assures that tribal leaders can teach native languages in their schools, something I pushed for a long time. It also supports vital school and community public-private partnerships. These are much needed reforms and will make a difference to children and families in my state. Our goal is clear: to reach all students, especially those who need the most support to succeed in school. In New Mexico, 3 out of 4 of our schools are Title I schools. They face great challenges. Many students are low income. Many have special needs. We have to make sure they have the resources they need. This has to be a priority, and it starts with good teachers. We aren't going to recruit great teachers, especially in schools with the greatest need, if we unfairly punish those teachers for poor student performance. There has to be flexibility, especially early on. Mr. President, our first obligation is to students, all students. We are accountable to them and their parents, and we need to keep applying pressure while providing support to states and school districts to ensure that truly no child is left behind. But we can't just test for failure. We need to plan for success. We should build on what works and leave behind what doesn't, but don't leave behind good students or those teachers who dedicate their lives to helping them. Now is the time for reform to assure that standards are strong. If not met, efforts are in place to help those students, to make sure that teachers and parents know how students are performing every year, and to give states and school districts the support to succeed. But let's be clear, we face troubling and chronic achievement and opportunity gaps. Every school must address this and be held accountable. Now's the time to address resource inequities. Now is the time to invest in what works. And now is the time to make sure that we're not taking resources away from students, schools, and districts with the greatest need. Parents deserve to know that when children fall behind, their schools will take action. And we have the resources to do so. But it isn't just schools that must act. So must we, the Congress, parents, communities. We all have a stake in this. And we share the same goal, to protect at-risk students, to provide accountability for taxpayer funds, and to make sure that every child has a fair chance. I want to again commend my colleagues on both sides of the aisle for bringing this legislation to the floor. Working together, we can provide all students with the education they need. And with that, Mr. President, I would note the absence of a quorum.